Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode, and today we have an episode of Tones Thursday on hand. And if you're not familiar with what a Tones Thursday is, it is 2 pieces of gear, any gear you want, any sound you want. And in this episode, I'm going to be featuring a Gibson ES-335, which you've seen in other episodes at this point if you've seen another episode, and Logic Pro amps. I realized that I'm going to trigger a bunch of guitarists by doing this episode because there are some guitarists out there who only use tube amps, and that's totally fine because I love a good tube amp myself. There are tube amps literally right behind this camera right here, but I'm glad to see a lot of plugins be released and to see Logic Pro release these because it's not as expensive as a tube amp, right? So say if you wanted to buy a new Orange Rocker Verb, which can give you basically any tone, in my opinion, that's going to be $2,000, but with Logic Pro X, that costs $200 by itself, brand new, and it already comes with all of these features. That being said, I'm going to share my screen with you, and let's dive a little deeper. Okay, so we're looking at the amps right now, and what you see here is that you have drums, voice, performance patches, studio instruments, acoustic guitar, an electric guitar, and we want electric guitar, and within that you can have different sounds, and there's a lot of different sounds here. So even under just the clean guitar section, there's at least several dozen options here for a sound that's already been pre-programmed for you. And within each of these sounds, you can adjust a noise gate, the amp, the EQ, the compressor, the delay that's going to be on the signal. And I'm not going to do anything with that here yet. But I do want to play just a little bit so you can hear how good this sounds, because it actually does sound really good. So I'm going to do that right now. So that's just an example of a tone that you can get out of this program, and it sounds really damn good. That was a pretty impressive delay on top of a clean amp. It really was. So I gave you an example of a clean guitar tone using Logic Pro's amps, and now, as you can tell right here, I'm on the distorted guitar tones, and there's also just a lot to offer right here. And so I chose custom cabs, and if you want to look up here at this, obviously they just stuck the Logic logo on top of what looks like it's supposed to be a Marshall Plexi, which is kind of neat. And as I was talking about in the last clip, you can also just go in and look at compression, look at the settings, like right here, and you can go to the channel EQ, look at that right here if you're not satisfied with it, and you can really dial it in, as you can tell, with all these options. So, let's see how it sounds. So that's the Plexi sound that they came up with that hasn't been touched at all, no EQ. It has a compressor because when you click on it, it literally just will come with the compressor on. You can turn it off though, but let's be honest, if you're playing distortion and you're recording it like this, using this method, I think you're going to want some compression. And you can also just add in other things here. You could add in delay, distortion, and it's all just really cool stuff. And for the last tone that I'm going to show you here with the Logic amps is that you can go under experimental guitar, and I found something called Deep Sea Dive. And if you look again at the amp, it's just an orange, obviously, with the Logic logo there. And that's kind of cheesy, but hey, I'll take it. And so you get a gate, get a delay, a lot of reverb, ring shift. Okay, this is going to sound ridiculous, I can already tell. So let's record something and figure out what's going to happen. So yeah, that obviously sounds pretty damn nuts. So in this video, I showed you 3 amps that you could use on Logic Pro, and they just come stock like that. So you had the clean, you had the dirty, and then you had that experimental, whatever the hell that was. Regardless of what your opinion is on these virtual amps, I'm very thankful that they exist and that third-party plugins exist because they're usually much more affordable than tube amps. For example, if you want a new Rock Reverb Mark III, then that's probably going to cost you a few $1,000, right? Or if you want the new Fender Princeton Reverb Chris Stapleton edition, that's going to cost you $2,000. So having these cheaper plugins exist and seeing them improve over time, and hopefully more of them will just be on our phones over time, that's just an improvement all around. Getting more tonal variety in the hands of more guitarists, no matter their income level or how much money they're willing to put towards their hobby, is just beneficial in the end. And that comes to the end of the video. If you like this type of content, smash the like button, comment, and subscribe. There's going to be a few videos floating around my head right now, so you can keep on watching content. And until next time, everyone.